Be ready. 10 seconds to go. Start. Madam Speaker, in respect of the caste census, as the honorable members are aware, in the last session, this idea was propagated and thereafter a group of ministers was constituted. I wrote to all the political parties. Most of them have responded and responded positively that caste should be encompassed in the census report. Thereafter, the group of ministers has decided that it should be included and the modality would be house enumeration as it was done, but here it will be limited and information will be only collected in respect of the caste and thereafter the other biometric features and other things will go on simultaneously. The only thing is that we have not yet announced it because this is not an empowered group of ministers. It was group of ministers, and so this decision of the group of ministers will have to be endorsed by the cabinet. I do hope that in the next meeting of the cabinet it will be endorsed and thereafter all other necessary action will be taken. So there is no apprehension in respect of that because every political party has agreed and they have sent their written communication to it and the government has more or less decided. The banks are charging compound interest for the loans instead of the simple interest that they advertise. In that case, the banks are expected to advertise their compound interest rate. Normally, banks are advertising their simple interest rate. If a person takes a loan of rupees 1 lakh at the rate of 10%, the bank can only charge rupees 1 lakh for 1 year. However, some banks are charging compound interest rate despite their commitment on simple interest given in their advertisement. In that case, they charge interest from the customers either monthly, quarterly, or twice a year and charge almost 13% or 14% in effect. My submission is that in all such cases, the banks should advertise that they charge compound interest rate. Similarly, in 2006, the central government has given 2% rebate on agricultural loans, but it is not being extended to the beneficiaries because of lack of clarity in interest calculation. Further, some banks charge more in the name of procedural expenses. They should not be allowed to charge additional charges. I request that the government should look into the matter and take immediate steps to address these concerns. Though there is a high economic growth in the country, still there is a large scale poverty in India. Poverty in India can be defined as a situation when a certain section of people are unable to fulfill their basic needs. India has the world's largest number of poor people living in the country. Out of its total population of more than 1 billion, around 350 to 450 million people are living below the poverty line. Nearly 75% of the poor people are in rural areas, most of whom are daily beggars, landless laborers, and self employed householders. There are a number of reasons for poverty in India. Poverty in India can be classified into two categories, namely rural poverty and urban poverty. Though the government has complemented poverty eradication schemes, they have not rendered and desired results as expected. Main reasons for rural poverty are unequal distribution of income, high population growth, illiteracy, large families, and caste system. Main causes for urban poverty are improper training, slow job growth, and failure of public distribution system. I therefore request the union government to take concrete steps for removal of poverty in the country in a phased manner. The government of Andhra Pradesh had introduced sheep insurance scheme during the year 2006-7 for the benefit of the poor sheep rearers, covering unavoidable risks as most of the sheep rearers belonged to weaker sections of the society, that is, scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and backward class communities. The exemption of service tax on this essential and beneficial scheme has enormous positive impact for covering maximum number of sheep rearers to unwanted economic losses. With the exemption of service tax, the sheep rearers will be relieved of the burden of payment of an additional amount of service tax on premium. The government of Andhra Pradesh had been representing for the extension of period of exemption of service tax on sheep insurance from 31st December 2009 to rearers in the state. Under the above explained circumstances, through you, Madam, I request the Ministry of Finance, Government of India to consider the matter and issue necessary orders for extension of period of exemption of service tax as requested by Government of Andhra Pradesh up to December 2012. This will greatly help the poor sheep rearers who have been suffering for ages past and for whose benefit the successive governments have not done anything. They are languishing in poverty and therefore they are in need of immediate help from the center. Stop.